There are two spaces on the grid. You can see them glaring at you, and they're the spaces where both the gold BMW should have been. Greg Gildenhouse and Sylvain Barrier. Gildenhouse went out big style, outbraked himself into the turn, having made prodigious ground into that first turn from the third row of the grid. It all went sideways, it all went wrong, threw him in the air. Gildenhouse is out, his bike is a mess, and then Barrier and Leandro Mercado collided and almost sat on one another into in the middle section of the chicane, and Barrier isn't able to take part in the restart, so we're almost bound to have a new championship leader at the end of this race. He is 9 points clear of the two men tied in second place, the Barney Ducati teammates, Eddie Lamara and Nico Canepa. And then a little further back behind them, 7 points further behind them, and able to make the restart despite that collision with Barrier, Leandro Mercado of Argentina, and just behind him, Jeremy Guanoni. So there's a lot of guys that'll be thinking, without Barrier,
well, but looked to make a, you know, average start. Why was he hooked up with Mercado, came off the middle of the fourth row?
Well, he really didn't make a terribly... He did really get quite sucked back in the pack. Yep. Gildenhouse was doing exactly the opposite. When we saw the rerun, he's dodging his way through, and then he's obviously arrived at the chicane thinking, oh, my heavens, I'm never going to stop this.
I'm leading. What's going on? Because that's his second into the chicane was Gildenhouse.
So we've got these guys now. Well, they've retuned themselves, presumably. There was some nervous-looking and intense eyes on the grid just now, James, when we were getting close of them glaring up the start straight. You know, what's going through your mind when you come to a restart like that?
You're just trying to get yourself settled again, and the big thing here at Monza is I love the place. All the riders do. It's high speed, it's brilliant. But that first chicane does string you out a little bit. You're not so much thinking, I don't want to crash here. You're thinking, do you know what, I want to get there first. I don't want to come out of there and get dragged, you know, a couple of seconds behind the leaders. So you're just trying to come up with a plan for that first corner, really, where you're going to go off the grid. Depends where you sat on the grid, to be honest.
There are some people who think that getting in wide and stopping everybody as you go in, if you can get across the front of them, is one way of doing it. That's
for me. Yep.
And then there are other guys, as Gildenhouse found himself doing,
stick up the inside.
Up the inside. And
trouble is, then you've got to stop it for the guys who's coming round your outside.
That's where the domino effect accidents tend to happen from.
But the problem with the outside line is it'll work every time as long as nothing happens on your inside, because whatever happens there, even if it's not your fault and it happens, you know, 50 yards behind you, will collect you as it goes through. So it's a risk, but...
So we've got that risk is being taken for the second time by the European Superstock FIM boys, and they've had their race cut to 7 laps. There are the Pedicini guys. What a lovely illustration of the fabled fighters, the Pedicini father and son. Seven laps ahead for the European Superstock Championship guys, which means, of course, even more vital they make a good start. Michele Magnoni, plumb in the middle of the screen, has got the best position to start from on the GM Racing BMW. We'll look at the Ducati. Great start from Eddie Lamara. The number 47 Panigale really got the drag off the line and ripped to the front. So Lamara, who was leading when the red flag went out, and second place for his teammate Nico Canepa, as a foot gets dropped on the third place Kawasaki. Hopefully these boys will safely get through. They really ought to, because in horrendous conditions, in torrential rain yesterday, the Superstock 600 boys, very inexperienced, many of them, rode a magnificent, highly competitive race in plumes of spray.
Yeah, they're all through now, and it is Lamara at the front on the Ducati.
And Lamara looking comfortable into the first chicane at Della Roccia. And then they rip down to Lesmo. This is where they get under the trees, and there can just be that hint of dampness on the entrance to the right-hander. And then a quick bark along to Lesmo too. And the two Ducatis, followed by the two Kawasaki's, looking pretty strong at the front right now. And they are the two men who are joint second in the championship and will be relishing the prospect. Actually, I think Eddie Lamara looked pretty nervous before he put his helmet on, because he suddenly realised that this could be his chance to take the championship lead. But it's Nico Canepa who dives through inside him. Canepa, the champion in 2007, We were talking about it when we were off air. Never really had a bad motorcycle, Nico Canepa. He's always had a good machine under him.
I'll tell you what, I just saw something there. Canepa jumped the curve, the bike got into a little bit of a tank slapper, and now pushed the pads back from the disc, and he just pumped pressure back into the system. And you've got to do that, because if you don't...
He did that straight away.
Straight away, yep.
And it also cost him drive out of Ascari chicane, gave Adi Lamara the lead back.
Yep, and this is one of the only circuits in the world left that we come to where slipstreaming, even on a bike we're getting up for 200 horsepower like these things have. Look at that, and that's why. Look
at the Kawasaki that's come right through from 4th place.
Yeah, but you know why? He got the double slipstream. That's like being stuck
triple slipstream.
Yeah, it's like being stuck behind a bus.
And that was Lorenzo Savadori swooped his way round. So Savadori snatches the advantage from Jeremy Guanoni, Loris Baz's mate, winner of the Ball d'Or with Baz just 3 weeks ago. Oh, and Lamborghini's crashed. He'll have to go and ask his dad for a new car. Sorry, it's his uncle. As he break into Della Rogia, and it's now Guanoni who's grabbed the advantage. This is why Loris Baz is watching this race. Sakini, oh, big moment. Michele Magnoni nearly got lobbed there. Big moments as they come through, and Lamara straight away snatches back 2nd place from Lorette. Oh, and there's the crash. Wowee. No, that's well, scrap.
Bent, that's what it is.
Luciana in 5th having it. Luciana always enjoys these tracks. This is where he's always had his best results. So he's been finished 4th in a European Superstock race here before, so the Frenchman relishing the high speeds here, and he's right in the mix. It's his fellow Frenchman, Jeremy Guanoni, only turned 20 on the 28th of February, leading the way. He's taken a little while to really get himself attuned to 1000cc motorcycles, Guanoni, but now he's beginning to really look the part.
Look at that slipstream, and that's the effect it has.
And the Panigale smoothly passes. Lorenzo Savadori follows him. The two beautiful green and black Kawasaki's running 2nd and 3rd. The Ducati at the front. Round the fabulous Parabolica, just opening up, absolute full power down the straight now. Straight away, Kawasaki makes a move round the Panigale. The Panigale follows him to get the draft. And can he pull out again and outbrake him down into turn 1? No. So that front 7, Lamara, Savadori, Guanoni, Canepa, Magnoni, Luciana and Lanús have broken clear of the bunch headed by Andreozzi, Leandro Mercado and Christopher Bergman.
Yeah, that's Lamara swooping out the slipstream, trying to get up the inside into the first chicane. And this is why it's brilliant here. The slipstream keeps people together. They get bunches of riders all together.
Look at Magnoni, where's he going? It's wonderful to see him back. He is. That was knowledge of Monza. That was thinking, you know what? I can loop out there, but he's lost it on the exit. I beg your pardon. He's lost it on the exit, and he's got squeezed back a couple of places. He was momentarily in 3rd place. Lorenzo Savadori, though, is the man in the driving seat just at the moment. Nico Canepa makes a move on his teammate. It's happening everywhere. Yeah, so Savadori, the 20-year-old from Cesena, is in the lead.
This typically happens at Monza because of the slipstream effect. You get bunches of riders, 4, 3, 4, 5 at a time, helping each other to go quick, and then you get a gap to another bunch. The beauty of it is, if you're in a bunch, you'll work out after 3 or 4 laps that, you know what, nobody's getting away here. So by then you're all trying to come up with a plan, and you don't want to lead it out in the last lap because that gives the advantage to the following rider. So they'll all be ticking away in their minds, thinking what they're going to do here.
Lorenzo Savadori, although he only turned 20 a month ago, seems steady. And I think that was Magnoni having the typical goal. And then he gets edged out on the exit to the turn. Yeah, it's Guanoni squeezed back underneath him.
And you've got to watch out for this when you get battling. If 2 or 3 riders can then get away, you helping themselves with the slipstream.
Savadori riding a strong race at the front at the moment. Although he only turned 20 a month ago, Savadori, you know, big things were expected of him when he went into 125 GPs in 2008 as a bairn. He's lost the lead there, though. Great exit from the chicane by Canepa, and that gives him the advantage as they blast their way around the Curva Grande up to towards 170 miles an hour, and then braking hard for the Della Rogia chicane. Here comes Lamara.
Yeah, this is brilliant stuff, you know. 6, 7, 8 riders battling. You know, you almost have to work together. It sounds stupid, that, but in this case I think they are beating each other up and not thinking about it. But sometimes you can work together with 2 or 3 of you and make more time.
Lamara back in the driving seat. Remember, Lamara had that absolutely fabulous dice with Assen where he beat Barrier right at the end. That was a neat pass on the inside of his teammate.
Yeah, it was actually.
Now through Soraglia and then fanning out underneath the overpass.
I tell you what, there's not many times I want to get my leathers on and go racing. And when I'm at Monza and I'm seeing racing like this, I think, yep, I'd love to be out there.
Eddie Lamara riding in his 30th European Superstock Championship race, number 47, the man at the front of the queue right now. But for how long? As they head down towards the Parabolica and he leaves the door open, Canepa says thank you and slips through. Lorenzo Savadori thought about doing it, but didn't quite make the move. This is proper, full-on, full-blooded road racing here as we watch. Look at the speed of Savadori's Kawasaki.
I watched for Giannone because he definitely got the best slipstream out of that. Where is it? Yeah, that'll work. See, and that is a massive difference, Jack, and that doesn't happen on the slower circuits. It just doesn't happen. Slipstreaming's almost useless at somewhere like Valencia. Here, you can really use it to look at that.
Look at
Lamara.
Yeah. What a line. How he gets such a good drive out of that, first chicane, and then he holds it tight.
Yep. See how small those Panigale Ducatis are, you know, especially front area.
And see how tall Michele Magnoni is as he towers above them coming into the turns when he sits up out of the fairing on that white bike there, number 119. Lots of fingernail chewing, beautiful ladies watching their fellas out there.
Second Lesmo, really important to get hooked in. There's like a dish on the inside that you can really use to get around, and you've got to get out of that quick because it's a long, long straight after it.
Savadori picked it up like a motocrosser coming off the curb.
Yeah.
And there's the five have just broken away slightly now from Lanús versus Luciana. And look at that. Magnoni's been plugged to the back now. Canepa just caught him going into the Ascari chicane then. So fanning out once again down this fabulous... on the screen, as you know, it doesn't look like they're going that quickly, but they're howling down that straight.
Yeah, they're coming...
Bore in 6th gear.
Yeah, they're coming out of Ascari in 3rd gear, and then... So they're coming out at maybe 120 and then up to the best part of 200 miles an hour, even on these pretty stock machines. Because these things have getting up for 200 horsepower as a stock. You know, you could actually pretty much ride that to work.
2 laps left, heading down towards the first chicane.
You won't be late for work.
the 2 Panigales. Well, look at that, Magnoni just thinking about finding a way past Jeremy Guanoni. Oh,
he messed up there, did Lamara. Got it wheeling, couldn't turn it because the front wheel was up.
And did that cost him a place?
I think it's still pretty good round Curva Grande.
Contrast in style, he and Canepa. It did cost him a place to Canepa. He'll be looking to dig back past into the Dalla Rogier, but doesn't manage to.
She's had her hair done for today. What is she?
Got the lippy on. And Savadori's looking really, really impressive. And if he were to this would be the 2nd win of his career.
This is Lamara, look, just getting it wheeling out of the first again. He can't turn it. You're not going to turn it when it's like that.
Straight on, back it off, and then sort himself out. So another fabulous European Superstock 1000 race to start proceedings in a World Superbike weekend here in the sunshine of Monza, the sunshine and the shadow of Monza. Savadori finished 5th in this series last year. His only victory, and the only victory he's ever had in this class, was right here at Monza, and here he is leading the way once again. He obviously loves the place. Pedicini Kawasaki at the front.
Everybody loves this place, Jack.
And he's got good speed because they're not able at the moment to draft past him, whether they're just biding their time.
I think
Magnoni goes back past Guanoni.
I think top end wise, Kawasaki should have just that little bit, should have.
And this is an important time, James, as he approaches the last lap flag to actually just pull a little bit of a gap. He's got them. He nails it across the line. They're not going to come back at him before the first chicane. Guanoni on the left of picture on the other green Kawasaki is trying to. The MRS Kawasaki gets inside. Whoa, dear me.
Magnoni up the inside of Lamara there that messed him up.
Yeah, a good and proper. And Magnoni's lost it. Magnoni missed a gear, I think, coming out of the first chicane.
And Savadori now's got enough because of that move.
Yeah. and it cost Magnoni a lot of time. He just fluffed it coming out of the chicane as well, and suddenly the two Kawasaki's have benefited, and they're running first and second.
Now,
big disappointment for Lamara.
The question is Giannone close enough to Savadori? And I think he is. The faster you're going, the more the slipstream goes back. So I think Giannone could be the best placed rider here.
He could be on the MRS Kawasaki. Jeremy Guanoni versus his fellow 20-year-old Lorenzo Savadori. They are the men at the front now. Canepa running third.
Canepa's not far off, you know.
No, and Lamara just with a little bit of a gap to make up. Can he find the slipstream going down here to close on his teammate?
Now, does Giannone want to go up the inside into Ascari or not? Does he want to sit it back mid-corner and get a bit of a run on Savadori down the last little bit of straight before Parabolica?
Looks like the latter. This is such a fast, committed series of sweeps, this, and then the final one opening out. Canepa's strong,
Canepa's
right
there.
behind, but gets a bit of a wobble on as he hits the curve hard. And I don't know whether Lamara's really suffered in that punch-up going into the first chicane on the last lap. Savadori's got it, and Guanoni's going to get caught by... Oh, and he almost leans on Canepa. He's hoping that Canepa might run wide. He pulls the Kawasaki back, almost vaults himself off, and it could be the Lorenzo. Oh, and a huge slide by Nico Canepa. Did it cost him?
Yep.
And it's a Kawasaki 1-2. Lorenzo Savadori wins it for Pedicini Kawasaki. Brilliant result for them. Second place for the MRS Kawasaki of Jeremy Guanoni, just, I think, from Nico Canepa. And the disappointment for Eddie Lamara, only fourth on the Barney Ducati. But what a great ride by this young Italian. Well, they were disappointed by his showing in 125 GPs when he went there as a kid. But he's certainly beginning to warm up as a rider in the European Superstock 1000 Championship. Savadori finished 14th in his first year in 2011, 5th last year, and here he is getting right in the mix on bike number 32 for that wonderful, abrasive Pedicini, ever-smiling Pedicini family.
Yeah, brilliant ride for Savadori there, but he was helped out a little bit in that just starting the last lap incident with Lamara and Canepa and others.
And Magnoni
kicked
really
off by Magnoni, I think he did, yeah.
I said I welcomed him back into the Europeans. We were talking about it just when we were briefly off air, James, how Michele Magnoni's come back into this championship after a couple of years' absence, and of course he's riding suddenly against unfamiliar opposition. It's not people he's been used to riding against. He's in the championship full time.
I think Lamara's going to know him by now.
Oh,
there you go, because of that.
Oh dear.
There it is. This is looking at the first chicane, goes up the inside of Lamara.
Yeah.
Canepa just about gets away with that.
Canepa completely benefited.
Yeah, he did. He went. Yeah, he didn't get involved. This is down into Parabolica, and Canepa up the inside of Giannone there. They just weren't close enough.
Watch Guanoni cut it back.
Watch Canepa. Watch the slide coming out of here. Watch. Tries to get. No, we're not going to see it. This is going for the line, but Canepa's got a real nice slide. Not nice when you want to get the drive, but it looked lovely.
It cost him second place.
It did, yeah.
And just checking that's a great helmet design, by the way, when you see it in close-up. This guy, of course, Savadori, he DNF'd at Aragon, so he's only got the 8 points to show. So there's Sylvain Barrier.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what? He should be quite pleased about that.
Yes.
Because the least threatening man in the championship, from a standings point of view, got to win that race.
Yep.
So Sylvain is still very, very much in the championship. With 8 points plus 25, that means he only goes to 33 points, which means he's still well behind, 12 points behind Sylvain Barrier. Oh, and in fact, I'm sorry, it's up here in front of me. Nico Canepa leads the championship on 52. Let's check the race standings first. Savadori, Guanoni, Canepa, Lamara, Magnoni 5th, Luciana a good 6th, ahead of Lanús, Bergman, Mercado and Jezek, and then Marco Bucelotti ahead of Gioffi, Randy Pagao, Franco Di Tardi, and Christophe Ponson getting the last of the championship points in 15th place. And that means that Canepa leads the championship by 3 points. He's on 52. Second place for Eddie Lamara on 49. Third, Sylvain Barrier still on 45. And then Guanoni just 1 point behind him on 44. Mercado on 36. Savadori, there he is, the race winner, on 33. And Romain Lanús on 29. You know what, James? We've got 6 or 7 potential champions here.
Yeah,
and they're all riding well.
Always in this class.
So it's, well, I think more so, because Barrier kind of got a hold of it last year by the scruff of the neck. And we have had some dominant, we've had
Badabini, yeah, you're right, sorry.
And so this, I feel, is a very open year in it. We've got the kind of returning, I say older boy, Nico Canepa. He's still actually quite young. He's just been around since a very young age. And you think to yourself, he's been around such a long time. He must be getting a bit longer in the tooth.
24, that's all.
Yeah. Which, of course, you age out after 24, don't you?
I would love to be as old as 24.
And do you know what? If you were only 24, of course, you could jump on. You could jump out and have a go on one of these.
Oh, I'd love that. I'd love that.
But we had a lovely shot earlier of father and son Pedicini's watching from the garage. Great. They've always seemed to me. There's Nico Canepa. He's always got a very good hairdresser, this man. His hair is always just perfecto. And it's always the first thing he's concerned about when the helmet comes off.
Ah, the young ones.
Did that quiff used to bother you when you were a young man?
Wasn't quite me, no.
The Barney Ducatis then, first and second in the championship. Sylvain Barrier on 45, Guanoni close on 44, Mercado 36, Savadori 33, Lanús 29. I reckon any one of those 7 have the potential to be champions this year. They're all riding pretty much at the top of their game. Christopher Bergman on 11th, Magnoni 12th, and Gildenhouse down there having kicked the whole red flag thing off on 6 points.
So there we go then. What an exciting race at the start for very different reasons, of course, but it ended up as a real humdinger at Monza, a circuit that always gives us close racing. James Hayden, if we're going to look back on that race, obviously we have to talk about the crash again, because it was such a big one with Gildenhuys, the South African, really coming off the worst. And there's Gildenhuys there flipping out. We've had a few moments to reflect on it now. How do you review what's happened there? And in fact, do you think there will be any reviews as to what happened there?
Well, I mean, here we watch it again as he just backs it in and clips the back of Lamara and gets flipped now, gets thrown high up in the air. I mean, yeah, we've seen it, you know, happen here time and time again. You know, Kirshner here a few years ago, you know, obviously broke his leg and ruined, you know...
Did for Tommy Hill's season as well. Tommy Hill got taken out by a local hero trying to win from the back of the grid. Did exactly the same thing, nerfed him, broke his thigh.
But what a... I mean, in this race, you know, the gold bet BMWs, what a nightmare for those guys. You know, Barrier's gone from looking very comfortable at the top, you know, to dropping right down, and Gildenhoy being out as well, so disappointing for them.
I'm actually sat there watching that replay again just a second ago and thinking to myself, I'm wondering, you know, we're all saying that he clipped the back of the guy in front, but I'm wondering if he just got to such a lean angle. He was on the lock stop and the bikes just flicked him the other way. Because if you watch the guy who went through the chicane first, there was no movement from his bike whatsoever. And usually when we clip each other, you know, you at least get a little bit unsettled on the bike in front. But if we watch, you don't see him get unsettled at all. Doesn't change nothing on the first bike. I'm wondering if he just ran out of lock stop, because he did go in there so fast, so on the lock stop. I think he just literally just run out of.
Could have done it to himself.
Run out of talent. Yeah.
And track.
Did well to avoid him then.
And everything else. But the race itself boiled down to a real humdinger. We had Savadori, Guanoni, Canepa, Lamara out there. And James, we were on the edge of our seat watching those. I'm sure everybody at home was also.
Yeah, it's a good race. I mean, it's exactly what we expect from Monza. This is the last lap. Lots of slipstreaming. You know, everyone fanning out trying to outbrake each other. Salvadori did well just to get his neck in front, just coming into this final corner. Then we got a bit of pass in there as well, and as you say, some real big slides coming out of this one. But coming from ninth on the grid, he takes the win now. I mean, that's a great ride from
Canepa, just so aggressive at the end there, that massive slide.
Yeah, it was lovely. I mean, Whittam mentioned it. He just kept it beautiful. He didn't really have to back off. It was just all the way out. Really nice.
Nice we got this class as well for the resurgence of Nicola Canepa, because for a couple of years there, he was billed as the next big thing, and Ducati were very keen on him. But it's nice to see Ducati also sort of allowing the pressure to come off him and him to find his form again.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting, really, because you know, he came along, didn't he? He's a very intelligent guy. You know, he's studying engineering. He's got a degree in that, and you know, his feedback for the bike was always very, very good. And you know, he had that test ride, didn't he, for the MotoGP guys, and you know, helped them develop their bike, and that was all going very, very well. But then you know, he had a year that didn't go so good, and kind of, like you said, just sort of took a bit of a step back. But you know, actually thinking about it from Ducati's point of view, it's probably quite a logical situation, because if he is as good as, you know, with the development everything and everything as they like to think he is, then maybe him riding the stock Panigale can only help the the actual official Superbike team. So yeah, it's probably not a bad call.
And boy, doesn't the official Superbike team need that help right now with the Panigale struggling as it is. Extra restrictions on that bike as well for this weekend. We'll talk more about that later on. But we're going to take another short break. When we come back, though, we will start our focus on World Superbikes. Good so far for the Kawasaki's. Will it continue? We'll find out in a couple of minutes' time.